when it's like, I'm right behind
I'm
you.
right behind
And I'm
right
like,
behind you.
I love this update. I love it.
I do love it. I'm a huge fan of it.
It's such audio ASMR. Those ghosts speaking to you now.
I
Yes, and the
love the woman
singing.
that hums. Yeah, the
Yes.
humming.
Oh, that was so scary when we first encountered it.
Because I think that was that the first or second one that we played? I think it was the first one we played, Matt.
It may have been. Oh yeah, because we were
Yeah,
trying to figure out how the dots projector worked, and we couldn't figure it out at first.
yeah, with Anthony. And then she appeared and started humming, and all three of us were like, no,
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 what?
no,
No.
no, no.
Anyway, I started recording, so that's good.
Nice.
I mean, yeah, work.
Hello,
Yeah.
everybody, and welcome back to another lovely, amazing episode of What Do the Gays Think. This is episode 49. We are one episode away from episode
Oh
50.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Today with
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
oh, today with me, I have the famous stripper, Pat. How you doing, Pat?
I My shipping days are long behind me. I'm kind of out
It's
of
still
the.
famous.
It's famous, yeah. But back in the early 2000s, when I was a literal child, uh, I was a stripper. I'm
Wow.
fine. How are you? How are you?
Wow. And also we have a very special guest star again, the Time Lord Jackie. How you doing, Jackie?
Ah, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I am doing amazing now that I'm talking to the both of you.
That's not what you said
Was
5 minutes ago, but okay, yeah.
Wow.
I really thought Matt was gonna be like, and my special guest, who I love, Cody. Oh, and Jackie's here too.
Oh. Please, Cody is not here. I've locked him out this time so that he can't bother me and try to get into my closet while we're in the middle of recording.
I like that every time I come on I have a fun title. I think last time it was I was your mailman.
Yeah.
There's something funny, and now this
Yes.
week I'm your time lord. So
Yes.
I think if there's a ladder, like a career path here, I'm clearly just going up.
Yeah.
On my way up.
Mailman
Oh
to
yeah,
Time
yeah.
Lord.
Yep.
You skipped a few rungs. I love it.
Yeah,
I
on your
did.
way there.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the follow-up episode to our She-Ra episode that we recorded a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, where beforehand Pat and I had watched through seasons 1 through 4 of She-Ra, and now we watched through season 5, and we're going to give our commentary on that. So if anyone's listening to this podcast episode and you have not already listened to the first part where we discuss the first 4 seasons, go ahead and listen to that one unless you want spoilers or unless you want our initial reactions. And then we're going to be talking about the new stuff in this one. Pat, do you have notes this time or no?
I have notes.
Oh,
I mean,
Jackie
I
has
had-
notes.
Yeah, I have notes.
This is Jackie's episode, obviously, but I have like a few just questions like last time that I would use if we needed them.
Perfect.
All
You're
right, take it away,
perfect.
Jackie.
All right. Well, we're just going to pop right off. Now that we've watched through season 5, I want you to tell me in 5 words or less, how do you feel?
In general, or like about the whole show?
Well, that was more than 5. Well,
I guess.
yes. About season 5, or just your feelings like post season 5 about the show.
Matt, do you want to go first?
5 words. Okay, let me see. Fuck me right up ass. That's 5.
That took a turn. Okay.
I can't tell whether that was a good or a bad.
It was a good. It was a good.
Oh,
I liked it.
okay. 5 words or less.
Yep.
I don't like it.
Oh,
Yeah, you're right. It's 4. I miscounted.
Yes, that's fine.
here we are.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Me and Pat definitely have
Alright.
differing opinions on what happened.
I really like where this could potentially go, because I feel like when we left off, you kind of were both on similar pages. I mean, you had different expectations and hopes, but it felt like a similar like peak of the mountain, and I feel like you guys went in a bit of different directions. So why don't you tell me, let's start off with what you liked and didn't like with season 5. And this could be as broad as you like or as specific as you'd like.
Okay.
Matt.
Sure.
Go off.
So I know that where we left off, Pat said that he wanted Katra to not have a redemption. Basically, like go insane kind of Azula style and go down in a blaze of glory. I kind of said the opposite in that I was hoping that I don't think I said this specifically that I was hoping for Catra to have a redemption, but I was like hoping for it because that's just me. I'm an optimistic person, and I've liked Catra since the beginning. And I thought it would put a nice bow on her to finally come back down and be with Adora. And I was just so happy when it finally happened. And I like that they did it over the course of the season. Like, it didn't happen all at once. They gave Catra a couple episodes to start integrating herself onto their side. Like, there was this whole episode where Catra was like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, go away.
Yeah,
like,
she's
you
real
saved
mean.
me, but go, like,
Yeah,
stay away
I
from
don't
me.
want anything to do with you guys.
But then at the end of the episode, she's like starting to slowly make her way in, and then she goes off again, like by herself, towards the end of the season. But then she ends up coming back, and they have that whole ending. So I liked Catra's redemption, very much so. Let's pass it to Pat on that topic just to see how he feels about it.
I don't care that she got her redemption. Like, I'm happy for her. Great. Like, it's not even redemption, just as much as like clarifying that she was like. We'll put a pin in the whole villain story, but good for her for realizing that she was on the bad side. Hated that she ended up with Adora. I don't like their relationship at all. I think it's toxic, but that's just my opinion.
I like it.
Why? But like, why? Why can't we have healthy representations of relationships? You know?
We do have that in multiple
But
other
they,
characters.
but they're the main characters and they're not.
That's true. But
Like,
it's a classic enemies to lovers.
yeah, but that's not a good thing. Like, that's not a good trope that people should perpetuate or use, because it's a different thing if it's like rivals to lovers, because rivals can have animosity for each other, but they're not explicitly like abusing each other.
One's not burning down the other's village.
Yeah,
Point in time.
but
Fair.
villains or enemies to lovers, like, that's clearly they are at odds with each other and like abusing each other and then getting back together at the end. It just was like, it's especially since they're the main characters too. It just reminds me of that whole Sasuke Sakura stuff from Naruto, and I'm just like, I don't like it. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't like it. And you have these two female characters, main characters being in a relationship, which is pretty big for any sort of media, yet you had them just beat the shit out of each other for 4 seasons. And then miraculously in the last season, like, they get together and they're both fine with it. Like, if they had gotten together at the beginning of season 5 and then spent the rest of the season talking about and working through, like, hey, remember that time like I almost threw you off a cliff, and they actually like went through it, I would have been a little more okay with it. But they didn't. They just went to like saving Catra to being like uncomfortable, or like Adora's very comfortable with her, but Catra's not comfortable with it. And then they finally, Catra like says that she's loved her all along, and I'm like, if that were true, you wouldn't have done what you did. So don't lie to me.
I also think that given the genre of fantasy, that we should take the whole abuse part with a little bit of a grain of salt. Because
Why? Why?
because we're in the genre of media in which these characters are all going to be beating each other the fuck up because it's fantasy violence.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything though, because whether you're talking about fantasy, we're talking about like a western, we're talking about realism, like like fucking slice of life, like, they're two people who've hurt each other. Like, I don't care if their societal standards are different. You're giving it to an audience where that is not a good societal standard. For example, Game of Thrones, why was it written that the women needed to be subservient to the men? It's a fantasy world. You didn't have to make it like our society. So in that case, it's trying to not be like our society, in that it's allowing people to abuse each other and still get together. Like, I don't understand the messaging that they're trying to push onto their or show their fan base. Like, if you want a happy ending where two people get together, fine, but don't make it so that they're like, I don't know. I don't like it. I get it. I get it's a cartoon. I get it's a cartoon, and I get they need to have like their little brawls, and people are like, "Oh no, they're fighting," but "Oh no, they're together." but I'm just like,
I do see the point about the latter half of season 5 in terms of their relationship. I felt like the pacing was a little bit quick for the breadth of trauma that was happening. To your point, like if they had talked about a little bit more, I think if the season had been a little bit longer, the pacing might have been better for the exploration of that. But overall, I was a fan of Catra and Adora getting together, and I initially wasn't pro Catra and Adora at all, and it wasn't really until season 5 where I think I kind of came on board, and I really liked the progress that they both had through that season. And ultimately, I do like where they got to, though I felt like the moment where Catra joins the best friend squad. What episode is that? When they get Milog, I think. And Bo is like teasing Catra over how cute she is with her little ears and her
Yeah.
space helmet
Aw.
and her cute sneezes. For me, that was a little too soon, but overall, I was a fan.
I actually wanted more content like that. I think I texted you, Jackie, like the episode where they're all hanging out in the cave together
Yeah.
and they're all just vibing. Like I was like, I needed a whole other season of just that. Because
Yeah.
that would have made it more palatable for me
Yes.
to accept some of these relationship jumps. And that's not the only one they do in this season. There's also another relationship jump, which I didn't like.
There is.
Okay, I'll jump to that one.
Yeah.
So that's I didn't like that. So
No.
obviously
No.
Bo and Glimmer,
No.
I didn't like
No.
it. I didn't. It's
No.
not just the fact that it was a straight relationship. It's fine that it's a straight
Yeah,
relationship.
it's fine.
I just didn't like. I thought that was the jump. Like it was just
Yes. Yes.
like sudden, like, oh, I'm in love with you. It's like, where did that
I
come
was like,
from?
wait, what? What? I thought at first the love was like platonic.
Yeah, when
You
she
know-
said it, I was like, oh, is this
I
like
was
a
like,
brother-sister thing?
Right. I was like, platonically, right?
And then Bo was like,
Right?
I love you too. And then they have
I
their
was
moment, and I'm like,
what?
What?
What? What show am I watching? Yeah, no, I wasn't a fan of that, and I'm sure we're talking about that more extensively, but I never saw anything between those two. I thought that their storyline together as friends was so much stronger than their storyline together as what eventually comes to as romantic lovers. I was not a fan of that.
yeah, I was like, she's reaching, Your Honor. She's reaching.
She's reaching.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I did not appreciate that. Mostly because I feel that there is a part of media that is missing. That is platonic friendships between men and women.
Yes.
And it's like
Oh, yeah.
missing across all media, like straight
Everything.
media, gay media. Like I think it's just missing it. There's no platonic opposite gender relationships that you know,
That don't
and
like.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I was gonna say, if there are those, they always lead to fucking.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
There's always
Oh,
some
yeah,
sort of romance
always.
in there, and I'm like, can a man and a woman just be good friends? Like,
No.
No.
They really.
Apparently
They
in
really.
media
I'm
we can't.
sorry. They
It's
really
literally
can't.
always present. The sexual aspect is always present, even if it's something like, well, let's just try it. Let's just bone
Yeah, I
and see
mean,
if it
you.
works. And then it never works, or they get together, and I'm just like, why did we even have to cross that bridge? You don't have to have sex to know this isn't going to work out with that person.
Yeah, I think that's also. It's less of a problem within. I feel like anytime there are two characters who are friends who are the same sexuality and could in theory fuck, there's always that like notion to just push it to that place just to see where it is. And I think people like to write like that just to get like either the drama out of it or more like conflict. But people can just be friends. Like they can just be friends.
They can just vibe.
Like look at me and Matt. We're both gay.
Yeah.
We're just friends. We've
Yeah.
never touched penises. Not once.
Pat, why
yeah,
are you lying?
I have to say that's true for me for one of you, but I won't say which one.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Well, Pat just
don't-
lied to me on our podcast. Like,
Oh no,
Oh, that's
you
right.
guys, you definitely dueled swords.
Matt and I
multiple
really
times.
big. See, listen, Matt and I are really into docking.
Yeah.
We don't do sex stuff, but we really like docking for like it's our handshake basically. The first thing we do
Yeah.
when we meet is just
yes.
dock, and then we're
Dock.
going back to our day to
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Oh my
Sure.
god, we had a lot of docking in our Sea of Thieves stream.
That's right. That's right. Do you like docking? Can you dock?
Can you
Yeah.
dock my
Docking?
ship?
Mm.
If you don't follow
Wow.
our Twitch is What Do the Gamers Think? GAYMERS. And we play some fun games. So come give us some follows there. And Jackie also streams too.
I do.
At Jackie_the_banana. Sorry to interrupt the podcast to plug that in, but I
It was
just
very important.
I
We
felt
need to
it.
talk about docking real quick.
real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Real quick.
docking.
But back to Bo and Glimmer, I felt that was a huge stretch, and I think that you could have had the exact same ending without that layer of romance. Everything else with the little like epilogue stuff and the vision that Dora has at one point, that all could have remained the same. I
Yeah.
didn't feel that the romance between those two characters added anything substantial to the story, and it kind of detracted it for me.
Yeah.
I agree.
Back to the. I'm sorry. I can't get over Catra and Adora. I just have one more thing to
Here he
say.
is. Ooh,
I just had one thing to say because I also want to bring in what's her face, Shadow Weaver, who I actually liked a lot. I like Shadow Weaver a lot,
Really?
and yes,
is it
and I
because you're a
liked.
petty bitch? Manipulative bitch?
I'm not petty, but manipulative. Yeah.
Manipulative, yeah.
I like how she sacrificed herself for Adora and Catra to get away when she's like, I don't know, she's doing something. She's like fighting a monster.
She's fighting the monster at the end.
Yeah, and then she
Yep.
dies, sadly. Spoiler alert. But
Oh, I
I
cried.
just I was like, oh no, because like the way I always looked at it, because I wasn't looking at Catra and Adora as lovers. I was thinking them as sisters, and I always thought of Shadow Weaver as their surrogate mom, because you have all these kids who grow up together in under the thumb of this, regime, and Shadow Weaver's always like caring for them, and she kind of does see them as daughters, even though she probably wouldn't admit it, because she's not emotional, but deep down she's such a softie, I can tell. So. I
Sure.
just assumed that she, especially at the end when she sacrificed herself I just saw it as her sacrificing herself for her daughters, which just brought more into focus that I would have liked Catra and Adora to just be more like sisters than lovers, because that's how I read it. That's how I read. That's how it read.
You read it wrong.
Listen, they wrote it wrong. They wrote it wrong,
Oh my
bitch. And I read it
goodness.
wrong
Oh
because
my
they wrote it wrong.
goodness.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
goodness.
Real quick to touch on Shadow Weaver, that was such an emotional scene. I appreciate where they went with her arc, because there was just so much emotional trauma surrounding her, and I think that was ultimately the only way out for her. Because at that point, there
Yeah.
was no way for her to walk back like X decades of trauma. She clearly was having a hard time struggling to change, and I would have felt really like hurt, personally attacked
Personally
if the
attacked.
writers if the writers had made the ending so that Shadow Weaver completely redeemed herself. I think it was very fitting that they kind of left her character arc going off on this point where no, she didn't fully redeem herself, and I don't think she fully redeemed herself by sacrificing herself. Like, that one moment doesn't make up for all of the trauma and all of the pain and manipulation that she did to everyone around her. So I thought it just was a very neat little package, and I liked it.
Yeah, I think that was the only way. Like, there was nothing else they could do with her.
There was just nothing else.
She had to die.
Yep.
But
she
I
dug her own
did-
grave.
I did like how they also like, because the whole point of Shadow Weaver is like she's always been like grasping for power.
Mhm.
And I do like at the end there where they basically give Shadow Weaver a choice. They're like, hey, Shadow Weaver, like you could go grab the power for yourself.
Yes.
But then she turns
Yeah.
around and she comes
Yeah.
back to save Catra and Adora, and I thought that was good.
There
Shadow
is
Weaver
some-
did one good thing.
There's some development to her character, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree.
But
I'm just like, the more I think about it, the more I'm just like,
So riled up about it.
I'm just so okay. Can we talk about the villain, like the villains of the show? How there's none,
Sure.
how there are no villains in this show, how
Sure.
this show is nothing, no
Would
villain.
would you like to talk about like things that you didn't like in that respect to season 5?
Oh, right. Let's talk about season 5. Well, yeah, the main villain. We finally
Mhm.
get to really meet him,
Yeah.
and he's so boring.
Who was it? Horde
Horde,
Prime?
Horde
Horde Prime.
Prime,
Horde Prime.
boring. What's his motivation exactly? What is he doing?
And just living.
What's just
He's just
like
vibing,
Taking
babe.
I
over the
Eating
know,
universe.
planets.
yeah, but
Eating
like
planets. Eating
can he
extinct
have a
species.
modicum of personality beyond I want to take over the world?
I don't know if
Just a
that
crumb, just a
just
crumb.
a crumb. I don't know if that stood out to me because I was too enamored by the voice acting of the voice actor who played, Hordak and all
Oh
that. It's
yeah,
the
I think
same voice actor. I was just like,
yeah.
oh my god, your depth.
Because like
Hello.
even the clone from the first couple seasons who was the antagonist was useless. I mean, Entrapta did all the work, and so did Catra. Catra did the planning, Entrapta did the building. He kind of just did nothing, and then the Horde Prime comes in and there was almost backstory to him when he talks about how he was like basically fighting like the previous She-Ra and had history with these people, the first ones.
Mhm.
There was almost backstory, and I was like, okay, here we go,
Here we
and
go.
it is just brushed over. I'm like, why like and then like the obvious like de facto villain beyond him is Catra, but like no one's sitting through the show thinking, oh, Catra's the real villain. Everyone is just sitting there going, I'm waiting for her redemption arc.
I,
I'm waiting for her to get with Adora. Like this is just petty sibling rivalry. Like there are no villains in this show, which then again maybe it doesn't need them, but like it's just the villains were so boring, and I don't like when villains are boring because I'm like, well, then the conflict, if you're gonna sell the show as like a good versus evil, the evil side is not interesting.
I
You
kind of
know?
disagree with you a little bit. In terms of Catra, like you said, oh, Catra's not the villain. Well, I
Yeah,
kind of disagree with you in terms of Catra is in my eyes throughout the first 4 seasons. Catra is the main antagonist. Like, yes, there's Hordak, yes, there's Entrapta or whoever, like the and Horde Prime, whatever. For the
yeah,
first 4 seasons, Catra was the main antagonist to me. And that's fine because the main antagonist can still come around and be a protagonist. That happened in Avatar. The main
yeah.
antagonist for the first season was Zuko, and then he, comes around and joins the opposite side, but he can still be the antagonist for a period of time. Uh,
Yeah, but it's just like she's the antagonist for Adora, right? So like Catra's really Adora's problem. And then, the rest of the horde or whatever they're called again is supposed to be like filling out the rest of the villainy and like showing how their, a belief system or their ideology or their ways are negatively affecting the rest of the protagonists. The nice thing about Avatar was Zuko was Aang's antagonist and it was very personal, but you knew the Fire Nation was doing all this other bad shit, and it actually went into the ideology of the Fire Nation and why they wanted to basically wipe out all the Airbenders and get rid of the Avatar. So like that's more compelling. Like Ozai is not compelling, but like the ideology behind it is compelling. Whereas beyond Catra, where it's just like the rest of those Horde Prime and Hordak, it's like I don't. Are they threatening? They're not threatening. Like Catra's threatening because she can physically handle herself against Adora, so that is true. But like the rest of it, I'm like, girl, what are you
Girl.
doing? What are you doing?
I found Hordak to be pretty compelling, honestly. They did give Hordak like a pretty good backstory, I think, like how he was the defective clone.
Mm.
And he was trying to redeem himself to Horde Prime by conquering this world, and then Horde Prime just kind of scattering him aside, and he has that whole thing with Entrapta. I thought Hordak was actually a more compelling villain than Horde Prime was.
Yeah, that's yeah, I can agree with that for sure.
Yeah. He had that lovely like abuse trauma thing where he was so ashamed of having, thoughts, and then he gave himself his own name, and that moment where Horde Prime finds out, I was like, ooh, Daddy's
Ooh.
angry.
Daddy's
Ooh,
angry.
Daddy's angry. But I did like Hordak. I do feel like there could have been a little bit more in terms of, to your point, Pat, about like essentially there's like a decades long war before She-Ra picks up, or at least some kind of like years long period of war. And I do wish that we had a little bit more information about that, just about Hord's landing or some of the traumas that happened, because we know that there was a princesses before the current princess. What do you call it? League of Princesses? I don't know.
Princess
Princesses
Alliance.
of Power?
Whatever. Yeah.
Oh, yes, the Princess Alliance. Yeah.
Yeah. So we
League of
know that there was
Princesses.
League of Princesses. So we know that there was one
Oh,
beforehand
God.
that they disbanded, but I wish we could have gotten like a historical flashback or like something.
Like,
to
have
remember
Bo's
it.
parents or something.
Yes.
Like, I found this ancient text that explains the backstory, and they just give like a
Yes.
montage, like
Yes.
something, like a crumb. Just...
Yeah, it's just a crumb. Or why people hate princesses. Because Bo's dads, who aren't with the Horde, don't like princesses. So I thought that could have been really interesting to explore.
Like
and we never
fags,
really
not
got
liking
that.
princesses.
I know, like, what's with that? They're
Like-
basically adjacent to each other.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're on the same like tier, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it, man.
I actually want to
don't get it.
comment about the history of the world a little bit, because I do feel like
Sure.
the history of the world itself was a little bit lacking.
Yeah.
And one point in particular that I just, when the show ended, I was like, okay, but I never got this, was where the fuck did Adora come from? Like, I still don't get it. Like, where did she come from? She came through a portal, but like, where? Where did she come from?
I actually did like research into that too, because I was like, wait, aren't the she's what is she, Eternian?
Yeah.
She's Eternian, but I thought Eternians were wiped out, but maybe they're not. Like, is there some kind of pocket resistance of Eternians that are hiding out somewhere? Is that where Adora came from? I'm with you. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I mean, I assume that he ripped a portal open and then found like a family living on a farm that like escaped during whatever onslaught happened decades before, and they just scooped her up.
Yeah, but like, I don't get it. And also, why is she She-Ra? Like, that, I don't think that was ever explained.
Yeah.
Why
Well,
is she She-Ra?
chosen? She was chosen.
Yeah, she's chosen.
But no, but then at one point they're like, "Oh, I was just given this randomly." I'm pretty sure Eldora says that. Like, I was She-Ra by chance.
I mean, maybe that's her perspective. You know, like her essentially believing herself, like a reflection of her lack of self-esteem and kind of agency. You know, like she just thinks like this is just chance. And in a way she is right. Even if you are chosen, I guess in a way it's all just chance. Who knows?
Yeah,
If the choice had
'cause-
been asked 50 other times, there could have been 50 other She-Ras. We don't know.
Yeah, because I think She-Ra has to be Eternian, because I think only an Eternian can use the sword, right?
Maybe it was an Eternian can only use a sword, but She-Ra, I'm pretty sure they say at one point that She-Ra has existed long before the sword, and that the sword was just made
Okay.
to control She-Ra, especially after they put the weapon in the planet. I think that's correct.
Some backstory would have helped. I think
Yeah.
that would have been good. Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little.
Just a crumb.
Just a crumb of backstory, please.
A
I'm a
backstory.
pussy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Cool.
I just felt. Someone felt me. No.
It was me. It was
What?
me. I was the one who felt him.
Did you unfurl and just like touch him?
Unfurled and engorged.
Mm.
But yeah, I felt that part was a little bit lacking. Can I also talk about something that I felt was a little bit lacking?
Pop off.
Yeah.
Adora in general. I thought she had some compelling moments with some character growth, but like, I don't know. I just felt like Adora as a character herself didn't grow all that much. And I felt like they could have developed her a little bit more.
You mean, when you say in general, do you mean in general for season 5 or in general series?
Series. I would say series.
Gotcha.
Like, she gets that one part at the end of season 4 where she goes against like the will of, you know, what was her face? The hologram. I don't remember. Light Hope. Yeah. She gets her, you know, she goes against that and she's like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to destroy the sword. This is my choice. And I was like, good for you, Adora. But then like, still her character, I feel like, has always been kind of the same. You know, I've got to save the world. I'm She-Ra. Like, this is my destiny. I have to do this. Like, I didn't feel, and I know that Catra and Adora had that thing at the end there where Catra's like, I'll do this with you. And Adora's like, okay, come with me. And they kind of do it together. I still didn't feel like Adora had that much growth. And I felt like, as the main character, I could have felt more growth in her.
Pat, what's your take?
I feel like she definitely changed at least, from the beginning of the series, she was definitely more like happy about being She-Ra.
Yeah.
And by the end of the series, she was less happy because of the fact that she learned that, she learns that she was basically kidnapped, that she's not from this planet, obviously. She learned early on that she was on like the bad guy side. She learns that She-Ra is less of like a blessing and more of a curse because she's like hooked up to this gigantic weapon that could kill like billions of people or planets and shit like
No
that.
big
So
deal.
no big deal. I have one of those
MED.
in my pocket. So I think she definitely changed in terms of her perspective of being She-Ra, which kind of is a window into her character. But yeah, I feel like she is just the vehicle for the story. Like She-Ra is the proponent of the whole plot. So I don't really require her to have much. I would have loved it if she had more, obviously, but I don't require it of her because she's what moves the plot along. And so when the plot continues and changes and she's the main driving force of it, it's like you almost forget that it's not her growth and it's really just the plot changing. But what people what the writers could have done is given some of the side characters more development.
Oh,
Maybe a few of those princesses that are in the title of the goddamn show that have barely any point to be in the show.
That
Cough, cough.
that dovetails nicely into my next point, which is who do you feel like could have used more growth? And real quick, just to touch on what's her face? Dora, I kind of take, I think, a middle ground. I think she had enough growth for me and she does change perspective, and I don't think I ever felt as much of a significant lack in character development as maybe you felt, Matt. And I think kind of that pinnacle moment for her at the end of the show of kind of finally overcoming this need to, do everything by herself and not sacrifice herself to this power, that was sufficient for me. But Pat, who do you feel like, since you brought this up, tell me more about the characters that you feel deserved some more growth and development.
All the other princesses.
Wow.
Even Glimmer, who I don't like,
even
I
Glimmer.
think should have got more growth. Because like it's the show's called She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. And the first two seasons, they're very big on getting the Princess Alliance. By the end of the first season, when they're having that big battle, most of the princesses are together. And I was like, oh my God,
Lit.
this is gonna be like it like the whole show going forward is gonna be like this core group now. But like the princesses, others than Adora and Glimmer get sidelined most of the time. So, you have your Entrapta moments, but she's mostly evil, quote unquote evil for a while, like she's on the bad side. And then you sometimes will see what's her face? The plant
Scorpio?
one. The
Oh, Perfuma.
yeah, Scorpia is also evil, so I'm gonna move her aside for now. So then you have Perfuma a little bit, and the other two or three are just like relegated to almost nothing.
Mermista,
Mhm.
Frosta.
Is that Net Bitch and the Wind Bitch? Are those princesses?
They are,
Yes,
yeah.
Natasa and
Yeah.
Spinnerella.
Great. Given no development and forced to fight each other. Lesbians forced to WWE SmackDown,
WWE
lesbian
SmackDown.
v lesbian.
Yeah, we love
And
to see it.
maybe I thought too much of the show going because I saw the subtitle was "And the Princesses of Power." I was like, okay, so like there's gonna be every princess is gonna get like her episode or two throughout the show to flesh out the character, and I'm like, that never happened.
Never happened.
It never like Scorpia did thankfully get some development,
Scorpio had I think, a beautiful arc.
and her big thing is like her realizing her self-worth, and like
Yes.
she was like Scorpia, she was like Catra's not being a good friend, I'm gonna find like good friends.
Yeah.
Good for her. Glimmer should have had more development, especially with the whole
Yeah.
bow stuff, but
Yeah.
the rest of them, like, I have hard times remembering their names because I'm like they're not even mentioned that often beyond season two, like because everyone kind of splits up a little bit, and you just assume the other princesses are working on like protecting their individual cities, but I'm like I just would have liked more.
Yeah,
I just want more.
I think for sure, because I do think Perfuma has like an episode in, is it like season 3 in the desert with Huntara? She has a nice moment there, but
Yeah.
even less so, Frosta and Mermista, I don't think have really much of anything. I love Mermista.
Oh, I did
She's just
too.
so,
Yeah.
I fucking love her. I just want to be best friends with her. I really wanted to see more fun time sea girl power happening there.
Yeah, I agree. I loved Mermista's character too, but like
So good.
she just did not get the spotlight that often.
No.
Yeah.
I think in season 5, like they also give Perfuma kind of like a little bit of an episode where they're battling Scorpia, and Perfuma's like, they honestly they didn't really grow her character that much, but she's like, oh, I don't want to, battle my friend. Like I think I can convince her with myself, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And then someone, I forget who it was, someone's like, Perfuma, you could be the most powerful princess if you just like actually did shit.
Yes.
And Perfuma's
If you
like,
tried.
no.
If you just did something,
I'm
not
obviously
bitch out.
I'm paraphrasing a lot, but at the end of the episode, Perfuma's like, no, I'm going to stick with my convictions. I'm going to stick with my morals because that's me. And I'm like, that's good for Perfuma. But yeah, I guess she didn't really grow all that much because she ended up staying the same.
Yeah. I think yeah, she has significant growth in the beginning because she was very much just like the hippy dippy princess who stereotypically just kind of like went with the flow and had no agency. And so I think by the end of that she has significantly more agency, but still could have had more. Just a crumb.
I feel like we've been not shitting, but I feel like we've been a little negative. So I want to talk about some of the things I actually liked about the season.
Okay,
Tell me,
go
tell
ahead.
me.
I loved the like the spy episode where they're infiltrating the club underwater.
My God.
That whole thing was see like the show. If the show had been more that, because you don't even have to worry about like the villains at that point. You don't even need villains in the show at that point. Like if the show had focused more episodes on like that kind of stuff, where it's like, and of course in that episode it's almost all the other princesses.
Yeah.
Like Adora, Glimmer, and Bo aren't involved in this like operation, and I was like, see, this could have been. You have all these like really fun characters, and when they're next to each other, they have great interactions. Like you had such a good side cast that like if you just put them in more situations and like had them play off each other, comedic gold. Loved every minute of it.
So for you, what that brings me to a question I have. What would be your top moment from season 5? Would that be your top moment, you think? That like episode or scene?
It's either that or actually no, I think it's that
It's
because
iconic.
because by the it was either that or when they're all in the cave together hanging out. And even Catra's there. Like it's these moments of when they're all together having fun. Because by the end of the show, end of the season, I was mad because of things I've already said.
Yeah, right.
But those moments were just so lovely and fun and great. And I was like, ooh, cute.
What about you, Matt?
Favorite moment, I think for me, and this is not so much, this is like a plot driven moment for me, I would say. I really liked, and I got up out of my seat. I was like, yes, yes. I really liked the moment where Catra decides to help Glimmer, and Glimmer says, I think the line is something like, Catra, just do one good thing in your life.
Yes.
And Catra
Yes.
finally is like, I'm gonna do it. And
it's
then,
such a fun line. It's so fun.
Yeah.
and then at the end of the episode where she sends Glimmer off, and Catra's like, I'm doing one good thing. And I was like, yes, kill it, Catra.
Yes.
That was yes.
That was so good.
Yeah.
That was really good. For me, oh man, this is tough. For me, I think it would be, and Pat, you're gonna hate this. I think it would be when
Love it already. I love it
the
already.
sequence of Adora and Catra fighting. I think that for me was just really, I was just like, ooh.
Oh, and
Ooh.
Catra's like under mind control.
Yes, that whole
Yeah, I think that's good too.
Timbers.
Yeah.
shivering timbers.
Shivering in more places than just my timbers, mom.
Sure I
Shivering
am.
Sure I am. Yeah, I agree. That was also good.
Yeah, it was pretty lit. Pretty lit.
Mm.
What about our least favorite moment?
Well, I mean, y'all probably know what my least favorite moment was,
Is
but
it literally
beyond,
the epilogue? Like the end sequence where everybody's paired up?
yeah,
Yeah.
beyond that, because it includes like the Bow and Glimmer and Catra and Adora nonsense. Let me think. What was the worst thing? I don't know. I feel like that really is like, I guess it's like Horde Prime, like just not being what I wanted him to be. You
Okay.
know,
Mm.
like,
Yeah.
because like Hordak was like, if you think I'm bad, wait till you meet the original Horde Prime. Like, he's awful. Like, he's the worst. He's gonna get here soon, and we're all gonna be fucked. And I'm like, okay, I like that.
All
What's he
right.
like? And then he had one really good moment. The first moment where you see him and all of his clones like respond in unison to him
That was
because they're
so
all. I
creepy.
was like, ooh, that's cool. And him
Yeah.
being able to like basically swap his consciousness into a clone to kind of see through their eyes, loved that too.
Loved it.
But beyond that, he wasn't. I was like, there should. I'll get to my. I'll bring this back in my final thoughts about the series later when we
What
wrap
about
up.
you, Matthew?
Um, I just want to, before I say my least favorite, I just want to give two other things that I really liked.
Oh,
Oh
sure.
yeah,
Um,
yes, yes, yes.
so this is more general. I really like that they gave Catra like a little pet. Um,
Oh my God,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
Vlog.
yeah, I felt it was good for Catra to like have a pet helping her because it like
An
helped her.
emotional support
Yeah,
animal.
emotional support.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Literally,
I
yeah.
thought that was really cute, and I thought Catra needed that to kind of round
She
her
did.
out.
She did.
Um, and then the second one that I really liked was I loved, and it was more comedy. The fact that they like stole a clone from,
Yeah.
they stole the clone.
Oh yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
They stole a clone and they like radicalized him to
And they like
eventually stand against the
yes.
Horde.
That's and they're like teaching him how to be
Yes.
funny and
Yes.
like give a thumbs up or something.
A wink. Was it winking?
Yeah.
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 Ah.
That was so good. I
Ah.
at first I thought I was like, well, this is a bullshit character. I'm not invested. And by the end, I was just living,
I'm like, yes,
living
fake
for it.
Hordak.
I love that he never got a name. He just always went by Wrong Hordak.
Yeah, wrong
I
Yeah.
think
Hordak.
Wrong Hordak throughout the whole part of that. It was amazing.
Lived. I
Lived.
lived. Lived.
I
It
lived.
really
lived.
got me together. It got
It
me
did.
together.
It did.
So I thought that was comedy. I love that.
Yeah.
I think my least favorite moment, and I don't know if this is my least favorite moment, but like probably my least favorite thing about the season, it was when Catra reunited with Scorpia, and it was like a 2-second thing.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
yeah. With the pacing of this show, I'm not
Yeah.
shocked. Yeah.
I
But,
know,
like-
but I wanted more.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really wanted. I was so hoping. Like one of the big things that I was hoping for after Catra got her redemption, I was like, "Oh my god, I can't wait for the reunion of Catra and Scorpia." And then
Yes.
it was like 2 seconds, and I was like, "That is so
Yes.
disappointing." I wanted there to be more.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted
want-
Scorpia. Go ahead. Matt,
Yes.
sorry.
No. You're gonna say it. You're gonna.
Just
I know.
slap Katja right across the face.
Just pinch her
Yeah.
face.
Yes.
Yes.
Really wanted it.
Mhm.
My least favorite moment, and this is from a heartbreaking perspective, and it's not even season 5. This is as a series as a whole. It's probably when Angela is sealed away in the like portal realm. Oh my god, girl,
Oh my
don't do
God.
that.
Is
Girl.
that Glimmer's mom?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I
Oh!
didn't like it. I
I-
didn't like it.
I didn't like it. I mean, I understand like, it gives like this like strong like emotional beat and then it affects Glimmer, but I wanted her to live because I wanted her to reunite with her husband.
I
Oh,
know.
that would have been so nice.
I did read, and this is maybe some reaching, but that now that they've defeated Horde Prime, who really had a huge grasp on portals, that maybe they could get the mom out. Maybe they could get Angela out.
I would love
just a
that.
camp
I would have
thing.
loved
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah. So
Like,
in my head, that lives as like a little side future story.
Yeah, that's in your head canon, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
my head canon.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of, you know how they followed up The Last Airbender with that little side
Yeah.
story with Zuko and his mom. That could have
Oh,
been a
the
fun.
search. Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been
Yeah.
like a fun little like, oh, maybe they do a little comic later where they save her.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if this got more serialization afterwards, like with comic books or, what be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Cool.
see. Yeah.
Cool.
What's our time at?
So we're at a solid 45 minutes, which is our usual
Okay.
length. So do you have any other questions, Jackie?
Well, I have kind of two overarching questions. And you can answer them however in depth you want. So, given that there are now more shows like She-Ra, what's your hope for more shows like this? Slash, do you have any advice to those teams of people or the writers behind them? Thoughts, feelings, hopes, dreams.
Matt, do you want to go first?
Um, I I'm gonna kind of disagree with Pat a little bit on this probably, but just in general with like fantasy and like media in general, just like be nice to your gays. Like I feel like there's a bad trope in media in general where the gay characters or the minority characters, even for that matter, don't get a good ending or they die.
Are you saying that She-Ra did that? Or
No,
that
I'm
you just want
I'm
that going forward.
I'm saying take She-Ra as an example where they
Okay,
do
okay.
get a good ending.
Yeah,
Take
yeah.
that moving forward in terms of LGBTQ representation, because in all other forms of media, almost always the gay or the LGBTQ character dies or gets a bad ending.
No, I agree with that. Why would I disagree with that?
Well, they deserve it.
Well, I think that She-Ra is a good example. You probably think that She-Ra is a bad example of LGBTQ representation in terms of Catra and Dora being together at the end.
Well, yeah, but that has nothing to do with them being gay, obviously. But yeah, that's like the one. But besides that, it did very well, And I think even though I don't like them getting together, it's nice that they did have a wide variety of queer content. Like you have the people who are in healthy relationships, like the net gay and the wind gay.
Cinderella.
And then you have them in an unhealthy relationship, Catra and Adora. So it's perfectly balanced because you have healthy and unhealthy. So hopefully the viewers can see for themselves that clearly one is good and one is bad. One should not exist and one is vile and disgusting.
I don't see anything wrong with burying your gays. I think it's fine to kill them off.
I think it's fine as long as there are enough shows. We want enough of everything.
My goodness.
Like
Jackie killed the gays Vandewater.
Purge them all.
Yeah, Jackie's like, you can kill them. It's
To kill
fine.
them. No, I agree with Pat. I think the violence is fine if, like you said, there's enough of the spectrum.
The violence.
The violence is
The
fine.
violence is fine. I'm fine with it. I don't mind it.
Matt, do you have anything else before I jump in?
What did I say just now?
You
Bury
said
the
that
gays.
you
Kill
don't.
all the gays.
No, treat
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
gays better. Treat the gays
Yeah,
better.
treat your gays better. Stop giving them shitty stories. Make them have happy stories. And I just think back to Sex Education because they just giving the one gay character such a bad storyline.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and that season 3 is gonna come back, and I swear if they stay together.
Ew.
So what I have to say with Ty, basically, my thesis for this show is that one of two things happened. Either the writing was just bad, or the seasons did not have enough episodes to fully develop things, and the pacing was very fast. And I can't tell which it is because I can't know whether or not they didn't get the episode count they wanted for each season, because a lot of seasons were very short and the episode lengths are short. So they had to breeze through so much stuff so fast. Or maybe the writing was just bad, because we've talked about how the Bow and Glimmer relationship was poorly executed, how a lot of the side characters had no real depth or growth. And then from my point of view, I didn't like the Adora Catcher thing, and I didn't really like Horde Prime or Hordak as much as developed villains. So I don't know whether or not it was a pacing problem or a writing problem, but going forward, all y'all other shows who want to kind of emulate what She-Ra did in terms of, let's say, its diversity in like a fake fictitious world, just give us enough time to get to know your characters and develop with them, Because like any action can be kind of rationalized and understood if given time to if the audience is given time to empathize with the characters. And the moment you can empathize with the character, you're sold. And you should also be trying to get the villain because the villain should be empathetic to be more engaging. Because the thing I hate the most is like an Ozai, a Horde Prime, um, a Voldemort, like just like these sort of like whatever villains that like who cares? Like I want something like a Thanos, like a Loki, like the villain from Black Panther, Killmonger.
Yeah.
Villains that clearly have an emotional stake in what they're doing. That's what I want.
I love it.
Thank you.
Sold. Snaps for that.
Sold.
My advice would be pretty much resonant with all of what you said.
Yeah, kill the
which is-
gays.
Kill the
Which
gays.
is to kill, to not be merciful on the gays and just
Yeah.
keep burying them because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and what does kill you makes you immortal. So
Right.
I think keep pushing the envelope forward. Keep being brave and writing these wonderful storylines and setting them in a diverse range of environments and settings because I truly think that saturation of content right now is probably one of the best things that we need for the LGBTQ plus community, and to keep finding these wonderful voices to tell these very compelling and heartfelt stories. So keep on trucking. Bury those gays.
Bury the
Yeah.
gays.
I mean, like, I would say the perfect show would be a show that marries the best part of She-Ra with the best parts of Voltron.
Yes.
Because Voltron had really good, in my opinion, writing and villain development,
Yeah.
but not good representation.
Oh.
Whereas She-Ra had really good representation. If you could just marry them, the baby would be pristine.
It would be really good.
It'd be amazing.
And then maybe you have a little bit of dabbling of Avatar in there.
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. You can't go. Listen, Avatar is like salt. You can
Oh,
put it
yeah.
in any recipe, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not going to hurt it. It's going to just make the flavor better.
Delicious. Delicious.
Delicious.
Delicious. My final little tie-up question for this episode is: who's your kin? Is there anyone on the show that you identify and vibe with? Where you're like, "Yep, that's me."
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Let me think.
Let
I'll
Pat
tell
go
you
first.
mine. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Well, Jackie, you go first, and I'll think about it as you're talking.
Mine is Scorpia.
Oh well,
love her.
right.
Obviously.
I
yeah.
love her. I love her plot.
Mhm.
I identify a lot with the character growth and the arcs that she went through and self-realization. I love her. She's very precious.
I guess mine would have to be very stereotypically Entrapta.
Okay.
Because like when she's like explaining why she's doing what she's doing and just for like the science of it all, and I was like, I get it, I vibe, work. But I loved her moment of being like of talking to I think Perfuma, where she was like, I don't know how to talk sometimes. Like I don't know the right thing to say to make you like me, and all I want to do is have people like me. And I was like, bitch,
Bitch.
you better work, bitch.
Yes. Boots the house down.
Boots the house down and trapped it. And I
Yes.
think her and Emily were just great. Her robot, I just thought like, of course, like she needs a companion to talk to, and of course it's a robot because
Right,
she
yeah.
can't have a human interaction.
And she can't have a living pet. She'll probably kill it. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'd give it
Yeah.
motor oil instead of like food and it would die.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
she'd reanimate it as a cyborg.
You know what I thought was funny about Entrapta?
Hmm.
Her
Her hair.
Her hair. No. In our previous episode, Pat was like, Entrapta's a bad person because all she cares about is tech. And then they have an episode in season
Yes.
5
Yes.
where they say, Entrapta, all you care about is tech. But then
Yes.
they explain it, and
Yes.
she doesn't only care about tech. So,
Yeah,
now
she
you
can't-
know why. When you said something, I was just like,
She is a bad person for a long time though. She really is because she can't see the moral dilemma she's in. She can't see how morally wrong she's being. But
agree.
having that moment of like realism
Mhm.
and self retrospective reflection, that was chef's kiss.
mwah.
Jessica.
Loved
Love
it.
it. Love it.
I love you.
Ah,
I was talking to Jackie, Matt.
wow. Okay, fine.
Pat. Hey, Pat.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Matt, who's your kin?
Yeah, who you vibing with?
Honestly, I think I just vibe most with Mermista because she's just such a mood. She really is.
Yeah.
She's the mood.
She just like it's such a I don't want to say carefree attitude, but she like just is like whatever to everything, and I'm like that's such a mood. And I don't think that's like my personality, but like I vibe with it a lot.
Yeah, just laissez-faire, just
Yeah.
chill. Like she took like a 30 milligram edible an hour before every scene she's in, and she's just melting on the floor, writhing, and she's like, "Hi, I'm fine."
I think probably the most memorable Missed the scene for me is when this is early on. I think they're playing with the war dolls that Bo made, and she just comes in and like takes one, and she's like, "Well, no, I get to be She-Ra," or
Yeah.
like she comes
Oh, yeah.
up with like she comes up with like water She-Ra or something.
Yeah,
and I was just like,
Sierra.
"She-Ra, thank you," and I was just
Yeah.
like, "I can't with you."
Another great episode where there's like almost no real plot. It's just them vibing and chilling together, and I was like, "Can I just have a show like this?"
Yes, I think that's the scene, the episode where they do the Catcher impersonations.
Oh
And they
yes,
each
yeah.
had the different style that
Yeah.
absolutely killed me.
Yeah, and they're also different animation styles too.
Yes.
When they're talking about each plan they were gonna do, like,
Yes.
take the fort. I was like, oh, like even artistically this is nice because it's different art styles. Loved it.
I'm Ketra.
That was good. That was spot on.
Thank you. Thank
Nice. Well, work.
Well,
you.
work.
Yeah.
So is that all of your questions, Jackie?
That's the wrap for me.
Oh my God, thank you so much, Jackie, for coming on and helping us talk through these two lovely She-Ra episodes that are now both an hour long. But I love them. I vibe with both of them.
I'm
Me
so
too.
glad. You're very
Yeah.
welcome.
So thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to this episode of What Do the Gays Think? If you don't follow us on Twitter, go ahead and give us a follow there. Our Twitter is WDTGT Podcast. We post a lot of memes, and we also post about our episodes. So you can come take a look there. We also argue a lot with Jackie on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So go ahead and give Jackie a follow as well. Jackie's Twitter is at King_Jaqueen, spelled JAKWEEN. And I've already mentioned this before, but obviously if you don't follow our Twitch and you want to see us play some fun games, our Twitch is What Do the Gamers Think? That's GAYMERS. And Jackie's Twitch is Jackie_the_bananas. And obviously if you're on YouTube, you can go ahead and like and comment or subscribe, but we love seeing the comments. And if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go ahead and leave a rating or subscribe to see when new episodes come out. That is it for me, and I am Matt Klubeg.
And I hate that Catra and Adora are together.
Ooh.
Patrick.
Wow. And I'm what kills you makes you immortal, Jackie.
Bury your gays, Jackie.
Bury your
Gays
Jackie.
Jackie.
Bury all gays Vanderwater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.